Hey.
Hey, Justin.
How are you?
How's it going?
It's going. Are they like serving champagne out there or something? You
I
guys
hope
are like
so.
rowdy. It's a weekday.
Are you guys
It's
drinking?
great.
It's 7, right?
Yeah, it's
7:30?
somewhere.
Okay. So I'm Elizabeth Wagmeister from Variety and Page 6 TV. You know who this is. It's Justin Hartley.
Thank you. It's so kind.
So, Justin, you are very busy
Yes.
these days.
In a good way.
In a very good way.
Yeah.
So we all just saw the trailer to Little. Now, I was very lucky to go to an early screening. It's hysterical.
Good.
And you are so funny in it. Your
Thanks.
scenes are some of the funniest, in my opinion.
Thank you.
How much fun did you have shooting that?
It was a blast. I mean, they did all the heavy lifting, and I just kind of come in and you get this, really great, funny script and funny scene, and they kind of give it to you and they say, what's your take on it? And then you just kind of do it a few times and you find it, and it was a blast. I mean, these are comedic geniuses you're working with, and you just kind of see it in front of you. It's kind of fun to witness as well. But they did all the heavy lifting, and the movie's getting good reviews, which I'm very happy about because they're fantastic people behind it. So hopefully you all go out and see it on Friday.
So the reviews actually just came out today. You bring up the word...
Thank God they weren't horrible, and then I had to sit in front of you
That
all
could have put
and
a damper on the night.
you're like, listen.
Now, so it sounds like you read them. Are you an actor who you read all of your reviews, or is that
No.
just... You don't?
No, some of them, you can't help, I think, in this day and age. I'll tell you the truth from here on out, okay? Until we leave here, I'll tell the truth. I feel this way about it. I used to read all of them when I was much younger in my career, and quite frankly, probably didn't really know what I was doing, but was afraid to admit it. And not very good. And I didn't know I wasn't very good. And then the reviews came out, and I would be like, why doesn't anybody think I'm very good? And then I just kept studying and kept working, and I think, time gets you better at things, and I'm as good as I am now. I don't know if I'm great, but I don't think I'm bad. But I stopped reading the reviews, I think, when I gained a little more confidence in what I was doing. And now we live in a day and age where you can't get away from it. You can't escape it. It's not only just if you're on TV or if you're quote unquote famous or if you have a job in Hollywood where you're doing movies or whatever. If you're like my mom can't escape comments about her on Facebook and Instagram or whatever. Like no one can. So there's no way to not read them. Mm-hmm. So you do see them. You remember the bad ones. It's like insults, right? It's the same thing.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, with that being said, you're on one of the biggest shows on television, and trust me, yes, round of applause for this, you guys. So,
I love the show, too. I'm a huge fan of the show. It's an amazing thing to be a part of something that is, being an ensemble show, you get to watch certain parts of the show and the story that you're not in, and just kind of sit there and watch it as a fan. And like I said, I was going to be honest with you, and cry. And you forget and laugh also, like really laugh. Like there are such heartbreaking scenes between Jack and Rebecca, but also like Jack makes me laugh and Rebecca makes me laugh. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of being a part of an ensemble show is you get that chance to be a fan.
I was going to say, it's weird that there's not a box of Kleenex here because I'm used to seeing you or anyone from This Is Us, there's always tissues next to that person.
Are you gonna make me cry?
I hope not. That would mean I'm doing something wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get back to Little. What initially attracted you to that script?
So, that's an interesting question because I guess someone asked me, did you do it just because it was a comedy, to do something different? And I was like, no, I don't kind of seek out comedies necessarily, but then if you look at the last few movies that I've done, the last 3, were comedies. Mm-hmm. And it's like, maybe it's just something that kind of like subconsciously happens where you're doing one thing over and over and over that I love, I adore, but you don't get a chance to do straight up comedy. And so maybe that's just what attracts you to it. I'm really not sure, but I like the script. And I also like the story behind it. Marseille, she's the young girl in the movie. It's her movie. She's the executive producer, and it's her story, and it's her movie. And so, I mean, give me a break. Yeah.
She's 14 years old.
She is, and her soul is 38 at least. I mean, she's whip smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the youngest executive producer in Hollywood history with Little.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant girl.
Mm-hmm. Now, I might make you cry because you might be mad at me for saying this, but.
This is actually tears.
Yes, it is. So backstage, I asked Justin, now you know what I'm gonna ask. I said, did you audition for Little? And he said no, and he's very humble, so I'm going to say that. But the reason why I wanted to ask you is, at what point in your career did you have to stop auditioning for things? Because this is a huge movie.
Yeah.
And they just called you up.
Well, that's a good question. It's never, I think, never. Here's my take on that. I feel like there are movies and there are parts that I could get. I'm a lucky guy right now. I could probably get some movies and parts that I couldn't get years ago because of the success of the show handed to me. There are also things that people haven't seen me do that are roles that I would want that I have to go after and audition. So I do still audition. It would depend on, I think, what the role was and if people believe that I could do that or if they've seen me do that before or if there are people out there that don't know who the hell I am or have never seen the show and they're gonna be like, who's am I giving this role away? So it depends on the circumstance, I think.
All right, well, let's go back to the beginning. So you grew up in Illinois and yes, round of applause for Illinois, sure.
You guys know where that is. So if you take, so it's 95, you got 95, right? So if you go towards California, and then about 3 days, you stop, that's where I grew up.
There you go. Well, tell me about your upbringing and when you really knew that you wanted to be an actor and pursue that as a legitimate career.
I honestly never considered it. It wasn't something that was anything people from where I grew up did. It wasn't, it wasn't something that people said, well, I'm gonna be a teacher, I'm gonna be a carpenter, I'm gonna build things, I'm gonna sell cars, I'm gonna be an actor. It just wasn't there. It wasn't something that you did. So probably not until a little bit later did it dawn on me. Now I will say when I was younger, I always enjoyed impersonating people, I would do Carson, I would do the bit on Carson poorly, but I was like this big, and I would be doing like Johnny Carson and the putting thing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I was having fun. And now I'm a grown adult, they say, and I get to do that stuff still and get paid for it, and I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. I think it was just as I got older and in college and I started seeing, I started looking at performance as sort of like a hobby or something that I really enjoyed watching and didn't have the guts to do, and then I got pulled into it by an acting teacher in college, and he was like, just do this play. And it was an improv play. So I thought, well, this is either the easiest thing or the hardest thing. It's improv, right? So there's no, you're gonna sink or swim. And I got addicted to it. I really did, and I haven't looked back since. And I can't imagine doing anything else. I don't know if I'm good at anything else, really.
Well, since you said you can't imagine doing anything else, if you had to choose, and I'm putting you on the spot, what would you be doing if you were not an actor?
Funny you should ask. You know what I would do? I'd be a producer.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do that. I would. I never thought about that before. My answer would always be what I thought people wanted to hear, like. Teacher is something that my mom, who I love, and she's one of the most amazing human beings on the planet. If you ever get a chance to meet Jackie Carrillo, she lives in Illinois. She's a fantastic woman, fantastic. And she's a teacher. And so I thought, well, I'll be a teacher. But it wasn't anything that ever, and I loved all of my teachers growing up, I really did. And yes, we have teachers in the house. Hey, overworked, underpaid. That's true. And my mom taught me that. And no, but it's true, and it is true. And so, but I always kind of loved that idea of. I remember being in school and just having, particularly like math, just be this thing that I wasn't getting. My brain doesn't work that way, and I would have to work really hard at it. And I had a teacher who explained this thing to me. I think it was algebra or something to me, and it just clicked. It might have been geometry, I don't even know. But it just clicked, and obviously didn't stay with me, but at the time it clicked. And I remember thinking, that is remarkable, that someone can walk into your life, and what you feel like you can't do, they're not gonna let your insecurities take away from you, and they're going to stay there with you until you get it and explain it to you in so many different ways. There are so many different ways to learn something. That blew my mind. I was like, well, that's what I want to do. I want to help people. So I think that was the teacher thing. I don't know if I'd be very good at it. I know I love teaching acting, but I'm just glad I'm an actor.
Well, you do play a teacher in Little, so you're kind of getting to live out those dreams, right?
That's right. I played. I walked into that classroom and there were things on the wall that were like Teacher of the Year, Teacher of the Decade. It was like Teacher of the Year, and there were like 4 of them in a row. And then it was like trophies, and it was like, obviously I was the beloved teacher. But I remember on the plane ride, we shot that in Atlanta, and I remember on the plane ride to Atlanta, I was like, I just feel like the guy's kind of vanilla. Like he's kind of like, I need to make him edgy. And so I ended up kind of making this guy like on the edge of like, he's gonna snap, man. He is it's a very, very, like he's on a tightrope. And he should have been a farmer, and these kids are driving him nuts. And so I played a lot of that, and I don't know if necessarily it made the movie, really. I don't know if it read that way, but I remember thinking, there were several times where my mom would come home from school and explain her day, and she had so much patience with these kids. And I just remember thinking, I barely have enough patience to listen to the whole story, let alone go through it. I mean, these teachers are saints, man. Like they're walking among us, but they are saints. So anyway, that was sort of my take on it.
All right, well, you said that you would be a producer. We're going to get to this later, but in case you guys have not seen the announcement, just today, Justin launched his own production company. So that deserves a round of applause.
We're excited.
It's a big deal, so congrats.
Thank you.
We're going to get to that later, but okay, so I want to know, you went to school, you studied theater, and then when did you move to LA? Like, take me through.
Yeah, so gosh, it happened in such a blur. I ended up leaving, so I left in the middle of winter. I think I drove home for Christmas up by Chicago to spend, I went to school at Southern Illinois University, like a 6-hour drive up north to Chicago to spend Christmas with my family. And then I think I could be making this up. This is how I remember it. It was so long ago, but I think it was like December 26th. I got in the U-Haul and I towed my pickup truck behind the U-Haul. This happened. The truck part happened, and I drove to LA. I had no prospects. I had no apartment. I had no friends, and I had no contacts, and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do, and probably hardly any talent. But when you're young, you can do that kind of stuff, right? I also had no bills and no kids, and so I was like, let's go, and you can be that selfish and that sort of naive when you're that young. There's no way I would be able to do that right now. No way. I just wouldn't be able to do it. So thank God I didn't have much going for myself at the time, and I was like, I can actually leave the state,
well,
and get out of here.
It paid off, clearly. What was your first role? Your first paid role? My
first paid role was of anything, you mean? Mm-hmm. I know some of you were thinking stripper or something. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. I was in a beer commercial. It was a MGD, Miller Genuine Draft commercial. And the premise behind the commercial was, there was this is years ago, so this would never fly now, thank God, but this was years ago where like, this woman is sitting at a bar, and these several dudes come up to her at this bar, and they're like hitting on her. And I think there's 3 or 4 of them, and mine is the guy that comes up with his room key, and it's a stranger, right? And he like comes up, he's like, hey, blah, 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 and he like gives her the room key, and he like walks off. And the whole day was like, they wanted me to improv, the whole day. They didn't have any lines.
Thank God you took that class.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I had just come out of this improv class, right? And I was like, I could do this for weeks, man. Are you kidding me? I got things like, I could talk your ear. You have no idea. You guys are going to turn off the lights before I run out of material. Whatever. And so I keep doing that. Oh, every single time I come up to her, I'm saying something different, and she's laughing, and it's going well. And if I was actually picking her up, it might have been going well. I mean, it was going well. And I was doing the whole thing, and sometimes I was like a little bit of a dirtbaggy guy, and sometimes I was like a really charmer, and doing it all different ways. And I thought, this is great. Like, they gave me so many lines, and then I watched the commercial. Oh, yeah, and then afterwards, They said, well, there's 4 of you, we're only gonna use 3 of you. But they said that afterwards. And I was like, well, I just poured my heart and soul into this beer commercial. This is the end of my life right here. This is everything. And then I saw it on TV, and I was one of the guys, and I was like, yes. And then I turned the volume up, and I realized they played music over the entire thing. So they took away all of my dialogue. It was just me moving my mouth. I could have said anything. And that was a little bit humbling. That was my first experience. And then I got lucky, and I got a job. Jackie Brisky, who's a casting director in Los Angeles, cast me in a soap opera called Passions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which will live on forever, I think. It was a strange show. I don't know what she saw in me. I have no idea. I don't know how I got that job, but she believed in me and she gave me the job. And that's how I kind of learned how to act on stage, in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the thing with soaps is there's so many episodes. I think you had more than 400 episodes in 4 years.
Yeah, they do like 1 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a grind. So what did you learn from your time on Passions?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. Okay, great.
No, I learned really quickly. When you do a soap, you sink or swim like really quickly. You find out right away who's going to be there for a while and who's not. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's a lot of dialogue. A lot of it, to be quite frank, doesn't make a lot of sense. And a lot of it is repetition, and a lot of it is, I'm speaking just of this soap, just of Passions. A lot of it was like fantasy and kind of like, and I came in the middle of the story, my character did, so I didn't really know who the heck anyone was. And they'd be like, I'm having a scene with someone, and I'd be like, oh, that's Ethan. I'm like, great. And they're like, who's, like, he's your brother. I'm like, of course he is. And our mom is in the room, that's my mom. Okay, got it. That's my mom, that's my brother, and that's the guy she's sleeping with, and that's also my mom, my stepmom. What? That I'm dating? So it was that kind of thing. But you learn how to just sort of adapt and memorize lines really quickly, and you learn camera angles, and it's little stuff like that. And then you can also kind of get lazy on those shows as well, if you choose to, and just develop these habits that are awful that you don't even realize are happening. Mm-hmm. So some people do and some people don't.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever worried that you would be typecast as a soap star?
Not until this interview.
No?
No,
you weren't, so I could ask that.
Yeah. I think, since we're being honest, and I'm going to need some stuff from you guys later on, some private honesty moments. Yeah, I still do. Mm-hmm. I still do. I don't think that I think I still doubt myself sometimes. I don't really know anybody that doesn't. And I still do. I still think that, part of it is, and when you step back from it and you close your eyes, if you think about it, when you do something and you do it well in your life, that's how people see you. So we all get typecasts. And so part of it is flattering, mm-hmm. But then another part of it is no one wants to be put in a box. And I think inherently people like to do that. It's a safe thing for people to do, to look at somebody like, okay, I know what that is, and that's how people navigate through life sometimes. But nobody wants to be put in that box. And so I think I'll probably always be like that. I'll probably always be like, I don't want to be the guy that people look at this way. I want to be kind of like, I don't know, like a chameleon. Mm-hmm. We're working on it.
So after Passions, what was your next role after that? Because I know then you got Smallville, but was that right after?
I did a pilot called Aquaman. Mm-hmm. So I left Passions after I think I did 3 years on Passions. Your contract is 3 years. I left after my first contract, which is hard to do because you go from making money as an actor to making zero, mm-hmm. and you're walking away from it. So that was an interesting moment, but it's something I told myself I would do. And I get cast in this pilot, this Aquaman pilot, with Al Goff and Miles Miller, who created Smallville, created this pilot. And it was the biggest pilot of the year. It was on, not CW, WB at the time, I think. I think CW was WB Network. Okay. So it was on WB, it turned into CW, and it became apparent like 3/4 of the way through the shoot that it was not going well. I mean, we were underwater the whole time. It would be like there's only so much you can do. I was in sick shape. I mean, swimming in the ocean for like 8 hours a day or whatever it was, I was like, I could have done anything. And I was holding my breath for like 3.5 minutes at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think I'm still paying for it brain-wise. I mean, that's not healthy. I don't recommend that to anybody. But that ended up not going, and that kind of broke my heart. I never in a million years thought that wouldn't go because of the success of Smallville, and they were going to put it on right before Smallville, and I thought this is going to be great. Yeah, and then that didn't go, and then I got offered a show in Australia that I was close to taking when Al and Miles called me back, and they said, don't go to Australia, we have this role for you on Smallville. It's a 6-episode arc. Come to Vancouver and shoot these 6 episodes. So I did that as the Green Arrow on Smallville. And that 6 episodes turned into, I think, 6 years or something.
It turned into 72 episodes.
72
I have my
episodes.
notes here. I do my research, Jeff.
They kept having me back. Yeah, I blackmailed them. No,
Are you trying to look at my question?
No, I'm not. I can't read that far anyway.
Okay, good. So, Smallville. Okay, then some of your roles here, we're going to go through them. You did a lot with the CW. You did Emily Owen, MD, which I loved. That went for a season, I believe.
Like half a season.
Okay, well, I watched every episode. I loved it.
It was a good show.
It was. It was great. But it's a hard business.
Didn't find an audience, yeah.
All right, then Revenge.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So can I admit something to you?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of This Is Us, but your role on Revenge might be my favorite Justin Hartley role.
Really?
I loved that role.
He was a twisted dude, huh?
He really was.
Yeah. Yeah, he killed a priest, I think.
That was a twisted show.
It was a twisted show. But yeah, that was another one of those moments where I got a chance to like do something that I hadn't done. Play just a full-on bad guy. And I didn't play him like a full-on bad guy. I played him like he was misunderstood. He was alone in a crowded room. I thought that's how I'll play him. So. Okay,
then we have Mistresses. Then you have a lot of guest arcs. Melissa and Joey, Chuck, CSI New York, Castle, Heart of Dixie, and then in 2014, you went to The Young and the Restless. I have to tell you, when I tweeted about this panel, I had so many people tweeting back saying that they miss you on The Young and the Restless.
That's so sweet. That's so nice. That's again. I mean, it was one of those things where I kind of I had gotten to a point in my career where I had done a bunch of pilots that hadn't gone, and you dump your heart out into the. I mean, you stop your life for these things. You really do. And they don't go, or if they go for half a season or whatever. And I have my daughter's 14 right now, so at the time she was, I think, 10. I think she was 9 years old maybe. And the prospect of me going in and auditioning for another pilot and taking me out of town to like potentially Vancouver or Toronto or wherever it might be, and being away from her was just something I wasn't interested in. And I lost that desire and that fire to sort of compete against these guys that were in there. They're in there to get the job, and they're very good, and you have to beat them. Not physically, but you have to win. You have to win the part. And I had lost the fire and the desire to do that. And I remember getting like an audition emailed to me, and as soon as I saw the audition, I got tired, like physically tired. And I never wanted to be in this acting game without loving it. I don't think you can. I don't think there's room for it. And that's when I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm kind of lost. And then I got this call about this role on Y&R. And to be totally honest with you, I didn't have any interest in doing it. They called 3 or 4 more times. And I thought, well, what is it? So I asked what it was. And then they explained the character to me. And I was like, are you serious? That's kind of cool. And then they explained more to me that it was a legacy character, and I'm like, okay, and who am I going to be working with? Okay. And I started watching the show, and then I went in and I met them, and we came to an agreement, and it was a really great experience. I worked with some really fantastic actors and sort of like got reinvigorated, and like that fire got started in me again. And I had the time of my life there. It was fantastic until my friend sent me this script. He sends me this script, and he goes, "Have you read the new Dan Fogelman pilot?" And I was like, "No, I know what he said." He goes, "Do you know who Dan Fogelman is?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, "Well, how long have you known this guy, Dan Fogelman?" And I said, "Well, I don't know him. I know of him. I don't know him personally." And he goes, "Are you sure you've never met him?" And I go, "No." He goes, "Because I think he just wrote you." And I was like, "What?" Because I know Dan Fogelman. I've watched his stuff and I've read his stuff. He's a wonderful writer. And I go, "Send me this thing." So he sends me this script, And I'm flipping through it, and I go to like page 1, page 2, and I see, and it's like Rebecca's got the cupcake, and she's got it's a birthday, and she's so pregnant, and Jack's like, oh no, we got a deal. And I'm like, oh my God, I am Jack. This is me. This is me. And I can get the guy. He was written like a little bit portly, and Milo ends up getting it. Milo's like ripped, and I was like, I'll gain weight for this. This is gonna be amazing. It's great. He has kids. It's gonna be great. And I'm flipping, and then I get to the thing. I'm like, this is great. Oh God, I'm Kevin. Oh God, I'm Kevin. Okay, so I'm not Jack. I'm Kevin, and oh God, I'm Kevin. Oh God, I'm Kevin. Am I Kevin? And then I got to the end of the script, and I fell in love with. I'm in love with all the characters, but I just fell in love with this character and this script. And I don't know if you guys have seen. It's the pilot. I'll spoil the pilot for you. But at the end, you find out that it's this multi-generational thing, and I had to flip back, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't see that. I didn't read that. I was reading like 3 different stories. I didn't understand. So I thought, well, I've never read anything quite that great in my life. I called my agent. I called my wife, for my fiance at the time, and I was like, I got to figure this out. Like, I have to, figure out how to get on this show. And there was nothing in my mind that told me I wasn't going to get it. I had that little kid sort of feeling again, where it was like that reckless kind of, I'm going to throw everything away and get this show, and convince them. In the room, I auditioned for it, and I convinced them to give me the part. So it's been the greatest, most fulfilling thing in my career, easily. Yeah.
I remember watching the pilot,
yeah.
and I had to rewind it and watch part of it again, because
Brilliant,
like you
right?
said, I didn't understand what was happening with
What a great way to tell a story. Yeah, incredible.
Now, what was it about that script that you just knew you had to be a part of This Is Us?
I felt like it was speaking to me. I had never quite read anything, a pilot that I connected so quickly with the story and with the characters and the inner workings of the family, and that as soon as I got done with it, I couldn't wait to reread it again. In fact, I did. I read it 3 times before I put it down, and it was the best thing I had ever read, and I couldn't believe that I could possibly have an opportunity to go in and maybe get in the room with these guys. Right. And I just also understood him. I understood the character right away. The audition scene was, and in the pilot, I'm trying to think, if it's broken down into maybe 3 different speeches. Kevin's in a room, you find him, and he's like reeling. It's his birthday. He's 36, he can't believe it. And he's with these 2 girls, and they're like, you don't look 36. He's like, yes, I do. And his life is over. He's 36, oh God. And he can't quite get it together, and then he starts talking about the Challenger and how it exploded, and how and you can tell he's talking about himself, like he's about ready to have a nervous breakdown. And if you read that in a way, it's incredibly sad. It's incredibly sad. It's like this guy's going over the edge. And if you look at what happened to him in season 2, it was right there. Right. But I didn't see it that way. I just saw it like him. I didn't see it sad. I saw him asking, like trying to find answers. And then you find out that he didn't have a father figure to ask to get these questions answered. And not that you have to have a dad, like your dad alive there, but you should have somebody, a mentor, somebody. And he didn't. And he pretended like he was okay. And I just saw this extremely flawed guy that cared so much about other people that maybe he forgot to take care of himself. And I fell in love with him. And I thought, man, I wish I could be that guy's best friend. Yeah. So.
Now, you just reminded me, actually, when you said 36, the pilot was actually called 36.
It was the untitled Dan Fogelman project, and then it was called 36, and then it went back to the untitled Dan Fogelman project, and then there was this sort of ridiculous thing that got kicked around by, I don't know, maybe somebody who never read it, but they wanted to call it Happy Birthday for like a New York minute.
Okay, wait, so I was covering development at the time.
Oh, sorry, was that your idea?
No.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely not. No, but I remember we got it, and it said the Dan Fogelman birthday pilot. So
we showed up at the photo shoot after the pilot. All of us are together, and they need art to sell the show, I guess. And I think Had we been picked up yet? I don't remember. I think we had been picked up. We had. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the guts to do this. But they had birthday hats and a birthday cake and confetti and those streamers, whatever those are called, the streamer things. Whatever. And we were all, I looked at Milo, and Milo looked at me, and I'm like, and he's like, I'm not putting those on. And I was like, okay. And Sterling was like, nope, not gonna do it, not putting them on, nope. And so we were like, we kind of politely said, maybe we don't put on the hats, you know? And thank God we didn't. Nobody would have understood what the heck we were doing in birthday hats.
So that's the funny thing is, from the industry standpoint, when we were hearing about this pilot, because there was so much buzz with it, we all had the word birthday in our minds. So when we finally saw it, we're like, this makes no sense.
Well, it was on their birthday. I guess every year, every season has started on their birthday, right? So that makes sense. But it's like, what are you going to shoot, one episode a year? What are we, Game of Thrones?
There you go.
See that? Let's get Game of Thrones back. Yeah.
All right, so you knew that this was special, but did you have any idea that it would blow up into what we know now as This Is Us?
No, because you don't, I feel like when, I once heard Adam Levine talking about this, and they asked him about one of his songs, if he knew it was going to be a big, huge hit. And when he answered, I thought, well, yeah, he's exactly right. The answer is no. I knew it was good when I read it, but I didn't know, you never know how it's going to translate to the screen. And then when I saw it, I knew that it translated to the screen. And not only was it a good read, but it was a better watch. And it worked. You just don't know if anyone's going to watch it. And everyone's so different. I've done shows before that I thought were really good. And they've gotten good reviews, but they just don't find an audience for whatever reason. You know, it's an election year, who knows? And that happened to me. Twice. And that's why I'm running for president.
Breaking news. Justin Hartley 2020.
Yeah. Well, we'll do 2024. Right?
Okay. You're like, I have a few more years on my contract.
Yeah. No, but yeah. So no, absolutely not. And then I'll tell you something. Even when there's the buzz and I knew that we were generating some buzz when like millions of people were watching the trailer. The trailer was so well put together. I thought, well, okay, now it's getting some buzz. And then the show airs, and you get good ratings for episode 1, and then 2 and 3. I think after like 6 episodes, I thought, okay, we were growing ratings-wise. We were growing, and the stories I thought were getting better. The pilot's always the hardest one, probably for the writers, because there's so much to do before you get into the story. Then I kind of knew that we had something special. But I still, like, I don't know if I'm just insecure or whatever. I still just every day, like, I'm like, is this really happening? I really do.
Well, when was the moment that you and the cast really knew that you were on a hit show?
Gosh. When I started seeing everybody, well, there's a certain thing that happens where you can't walk around anymore. Without combing your hair first, or like, you should brush your teeth before you leave the house, man. I mean, like we should all do that, but like, you don't even want to like get the newspaper anymore without doing that, because you never know who you're gonna see. So, so it's made me a cleaner man. So thank you for that. My wife thanks you. No, but yeah, you start to notice the interactions that you get from people, from strangers on the streets that are walking up to you, and they're telling you, I've said this before, but they're telling you things about their family. They're telling you secrets about their lives that they don't tell people. And it sounds funny in a way, because if you think about some stranger going, guess what, you'll never believe what happened. When my brother, I'm so pissed at him, I haven't talked to him, and you're like, who is this person? But they're telling you their pain, and they're sharing these things with you because they're relating to your character so vividly, and it changed their lives. And to be a part of a hit show is amazing, and it was a dream of mine, and I still can't believe that I'm part of a hit show. To be part of a show that affects people in a way that makes them slow down, think about their lives, think about being better people, be more respectful, have original thoughts about things, think about why you're following someone that doesn't believe in the values that all that kind of stuff. People are so thoughtful nowadays, but to have any kind of impact on that, to be a part of something like that is, hit show Schmidt show. It's like that's where the juice is, right? I mean, when you can affect other people.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Now, the storylines, I mean, the writers are incredible. It just seems
They're
like
unbelievable. It's incredible. You're right.
it keeps getting better and better. How much does the cast know? Because obviously, as a viewer, you're watching and it jumps from decade to decade to decade, and questions are answered, and then there's more questions that are put out there. Do you guys know? I guess there's two questions. First, do you know how it all ends? So first answer that.
Yeah, so we all know, we're all told whatever we want to know. So Dan has this thing where he says, whatever you want to know, I'll tell you. There's some actors out there that just don't want to know. It's part of their craft, their process. And it's cool, it's so cool. Like when you see an actor's like, I don't want to know. And I'm like, that's so cool. I bet you Christian Bale doesn't want to know either. Christian Bale's so cool. He's so good. I bet you Leo doesn't want to know either. Those guys are so talented. And Dan's like, do you want to know? And I'm like, yeah, what? Tell me everything. I'm just not that cool. I want to know all of the stuff. It's part of my process. I like it. So, so we know where the show's going.
Okay.
That said, I think the writers know more, because I think what happens is, and I've said this before too, you get these people, you talk to these people individually, and it's like, I could talk to them each individually for hour upon hour. I could listen to them read a phone book. I mean, they're brilliant. The way that their mind works, it's unbelievable. And you get them together, and it's something, it's out of this world. It's incredible. And so I think what happens is, along the line, as the story's being told, within the outline, you have these things that come up that's like, well, let's do that. And I don't think maybe that wasn't planned out from the beginning, but they'll run with it. You and I were talking about that earlier, and I could be totally making this up, although I don't think I am. I don't think that the whole "how does Jack die" thing I don't think the goal or the aim was to have it a thing at all. I think the thing was that Jack died, and then it was like, oh, that's how it affects the family. But everyone got so obsessed with, how does he die? How did he die? That it became a thing. And so that's what I'm talking about. I think things evolve as it goes on. The show has its own life, kind of, as it gets older, and it becomes this thing that you just sort of, you're filling in the holes, and things come up.
Right. Did you guys anticipate the outrage at Crockpot?
No, and I don't think they did either. I didn't really understand what was going on with that. I thought we had a crock pot when I was a kid, and we were fine. And my mom, I was like, what was that? She's like, crock pot. I'm like, well, why do we have a crock pot? She's like, well, do you want to eat? I work all day. And it's like, you could literally put the raw food in the crock pot, and you turned it like 3 times, and then you left the house for like 10 hours. You came back, the place smelled great, and you had beef stew. And it was like, who doesn't love a crock pot? Cut to This Is Us. And it's like, what have we done? But I don't know what happened there, but people love that character. Yeah, he should have unplugged that thing.
I have to admit, every time I plug in my crock pot, I do think of the Pearsons. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
I think the crock pot's back, though, isn't it? It's back. I mean, it's good, right?
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah. We love the crock pot.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay,
so we talked about the storylines, and it's just incredible storytelling. The finale, the season 3 finale, was really amazing.
Did you all see it? Yeah?
So good. We actually have a clip.
Oh, great.
So yeah, let's take a look at a clip from the finale.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the show, is it's so heartfelt and heartwarming, but you can laugh and cry in the same minute.
Yep.
Now, your character really went through it. Really the second half of this season. I don't want to, can I spoil things in here? Is that okay? Yeah? Okay. I don't want to make anyone upset, but this is a spoil-free zone. We're going to do spoilers in here. Okay.
We'll go through season 4 for you.
Let's do it. He said he knows how it ends. Okay, so Kevin falls back into his alcoholism. What was that like as an actor for you to tackle that again?
So selfishly, as you want things that are complicated and deep and complex and seem impossible, and you want to find your characters that you play in some sort of a situation that gives you drama that you can sink your teeth into, selfishly. But for him, like I said, I've kind of fallen in love with him, and it broke my heart. He tries so hard, and he's such a good man. And part of his thing also is he has this idea that he's going to conquer these things on his own. And we didn't see him with a sponsor. We didn't see him in meetings. And he wasn't talking about it. He just sort of wasn't drinking. But he had a movie. He had a new girlfriend. Then the moment these other things happen that are difficult to deal with, he falls back. And that's what we saw. So it was kind of heartbreaking to see, but it's also one of those things where it's very, very real and it's very common. And you hear about it all the time. People go years, decades even, sober, and they do a really good job at it, and then they are not sober, and then they start over. And that's his life, and so he's carrying that with him for the rest of his life, and he'll be dealing with it every single day. But he'll do it. I love that about him. Like I said, I think he has the tools now to be able to do it, and he has the people around him that he can actually lean on. These people were there, his family, but he never leaned on them, I don't think. I think he used them a little bit for things that he might have needed, but I don't think he leaned on them. I think he had a codependency with his sister, which isn't exactly the ideal situation when you're an alcoholic, right? It's like she's probably opening beers for him. I don't know. But I love the fact that he's admitted it and that he's living this life now that is true, and he's going to seek help and hopefully do it the right way.
Yeah. I mean, this season's really you've been so fantastic in it, Justin. And
thank you.
I mean, with Kevin going back to his demons and with Nikki, and there's just been so many great storylines. But in the interest of time, because we do have audience questions that I want to get to, I first want to ask you some questions about the finale. So since we can do spoilers here. So in the present day, Toby and Kate, they have the baby and they bring it home and you come in. But there's a new change in your life, which is that you are single. So Zoe's gone because you say you want to be a father down the road and she doesn't want kids.
Right.
So what does that mean for season 4? Kevin's single.
Yeah. You know what?
Want to get some scoop on Kevin?
Yeah, no, it's okay. We see him in therapy, and we see him out of therapy, and then right as he's like better, he's feeling better, he jumps into this relationship. I mean, the timing of that couldn't have been worse. He didn't have time to take care. Again, it's this recurring theme. He didn't have time to take care of himself before he started jumping into other things and distractions. Not to say that she was a distraction, but relationships are very distracting when your main goal is to take care of yourself alone, right? Or you're not going to be very good at it anyway. So hopefully in season 4 we'll see that hopefully he remains single for a little bit, I'm hoping, long enough to sort of be healthy enough to get into a relationship. She just needs to slow things down, I think, you know? We saw Nikki in the finale, so he's there.
Still there.
Still there. So that story has yet to be told, so that'll be fun. That'll be really fun, actually. I know tidbits about that. That is going to be extraordinary, if it happens. And I can say that kind of because I don't know, right? So I can just make stuff up. But we saw him in the finale. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. You guys tell me.
No, we know that. And in the flash forward scene,
we
find out that Nikki is there by Rebecca's bedside.
Right.
And we also find out that Kevin has a son. Kevin ends up being a father.
Yeah.
Which is
great for him. You know, I think it's wonderful. I think there's something really cool about seeing that all the things that Kevin missed out on that affected him in a certain way. And what we've seen is it's been such a negative thing, to see in the future that he's found something that has allowed him to he's probably an amazing father. And he's found something, that thread, that through line, and he's probably carrying his father with him through that, and I think that's wonderful.
Right. Are you excited to tackle that storyline in whatever form it takes?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I know a thing or two about it. I have a 14-year-old daughter. Did I mention that?
You did.
And she's the best. She's a genius. But I love that. I love being a father, and so the idea of Kevin being a father, it's something that we just haven't seen. And the idea, think about where he was in the pilot, and you're like, that's a dad? That's somebody's dad, that guy. He's gonna be someone's dad. That's far out, man. That's far out. But then I think about stuff that I did when I was young, and I'm a dad.
Everyone grows up at some point, right?
You have to grow up, yeah.
All right, now something that we didn't see. We see Kevin's son in the future, but his son says, Dad's not here because he's getting takeout. Very Kevin. He hasn't totally grown up.
Yeah, we don't use the kitchen.
Right, but one thing that we don't see is an older Kevin.
Right.
Do you know what he looks like in the future?
I think it's just me skipping the makeup trailer for work. No, it's remarkable what I look like without makeup. It's incredible. Without lights. We don't know, and so that's the cool thing is that I haven't been told, and so I'll just throw a few things out there because I don't know. I'm curious. Did something happen to him? Did he get in a car? I don't know did something happen to his face, or is it just that we haven't seen it, or we haven't seen Kate either?
Right, we haven't seen it.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. I just hope it's like Harrison Ford or something. You know what I mean? Like Selleck. You know what I mean?
You just come back. It's totally different.
Just like, but no, not that actor. I'm saying like that he ages like those gentlemen.
A different persona.
Yeah, like you see, or like, like Brad Pitt. Like, is he still 30? Like, what's going on with that dude? I want that water.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He found the fountain again.
Unbelievable.
Okay, now I mentioned your production company, and I want to give you a chance to talk about it because it's so exciting.
Oh, I'm excited.
Just announced today. So tell us a bit about that, and what are some projects that you're really hoping to develop?
Yeah, so we, with the help of Fox, their television studio, we're in business, and we're looking for TV that's interesting. I mean, the idea would be to find something like This Is Us that is groundbreaking and phenomenal and wonderful and touches so many people and sort of changes the world in a better way. But I hired a brilliant young lady, and she's running the company from LA while I'm here. And we're going to work together, and we're going to find hopefully meaningful, amazing television that's visually stimulating as well. So we're excited, and I'm like digging in and reading everything under the sun. So if you guys have any ideas.
All right, well, I do want to get to audience questions. I have a bunch here. Thank you for your questions, everybody.
There's a sign over here. What does that say?
What does that say?
Yeah? This is, is this the birthday? Yeah. Okay, great. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I told you that I would, yeah. Yeah. Of course. Okay. 100%. Thank you for bringing the sign. That was very smart.
Awesome.
That was very smart.
17 years, so I promised her.
Oh.
Come on. I want a photo with you. What a guy. That's amazing.
All right, now before we get to audience...
Why didn't anyone want those seats?
Yeah, there's 2 seats right up front.
Do I spit when I talk?
Before we get to these questions, as a journalist, I have to ask you one thing about This Is Us.
Okay.
So Dan Fogelman, he tweeted after the finale, halftime, which people are speculating, and also Isaac, one of your showrunners, has talked about the length of the series, and he said that we're about halfway through. Does that mean that it's definitely 6 seasons and then it's done?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it just, I don't like to, okay. When you do television, as I have, and you have the career that I've had, when someone says, are you going to do 3 more years? I don't even know, I fall down because I'm trying to get like 1 episode out there, right? Especially like producing now. I can't imagine someone saying we want 3 years of something. I don't think it necessarily means we're only going to do 3 more. I don't know, though. I mean, they're writing it. I'll do 300 more, as long as the story is compelling and the story is moving in the direction that it is. I just think that they know where the story's going, the path of the show, and that's what he meant by that. I don't want to speak for him, but it feels like it. Although I don't know, it could be 8, it could be 10, it could be. Hopefully, it'll be at least 6. How about that?
Good answer.
Good question.
Right. Okay. Thank you guys for your questions. We have a lot here. So, first one. Where do you see yourself personally and professionally in 10 years?
Right here with you all. Oh. But somebody will be sitting in those 2 seats. Because in 10 years, I will have done 2 hit shows. We will sell those seats. No, I'm kidding. Gosh, I hope I find myself in a similar place, which is well, I hope I'm wiser, but I hope I'm actually doing something professionally that affects people in the way that the show that I'm doing right now, This Is Us, affects people, and I hope I still have my hair. I don't know. And I hope my daughter will be 24. I hope I hope she's thriving, and I look forward to it. I don't want to jump there, though. I feel like I hope it slows down, because I just feel like life is going so fast. And I feel like I hope it slows down. I don't know how we get some scientists in there to figure out how to slow the earth down a little bit or something. It just goes so fast.
All right, this question's really fun.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Hartley.
Hello.
We have it, and this is from Maria, by the way. Thank you, Maria. We have a This Is Us support group at our office.
Oh.
What can you give us to take back to them? We are meeting tomorrow to discuss the finale. You are invited.
Well, I have to be at work. This is tomorrow?
This is tomorrow.
I have to be at work tomorrow, but thank you for the invitation. And is this a support group to talk you guys to keep you from crying because you've just watched the show, or is this a support group to talk about the show?
Maria, can you shout?
Oh, so like what we do with life, yeah. Yeah, great. What was the actual question?
The actual question was, can you give us something to take back? So I think maybe some answers or some scoop.
Okay, I will tell you this. I think that this whole halfway done thing that we've said about the show, we're at the halfway point or halftime or whatever, I feel like whatever we have in store, whether it be 3 or 4 or 5 or 2, however many years we have, knowing the path of the show, I sort of feel like the second half, and I put that in quotes, is way better than the first. Yeah, I'm not just saying that. Yeah. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
All right, now this question you actually already answered. It's about being on a TV show that matters, but I just want to give a shout out to Jody, because Jody's from Paris, France, which is very cool that you're here.
Cool.
So, all right, this is from either Helena or Helena. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. She wants to know, how does your experience starting out as an actor compare to Kevin's experience?
Well, Kevin, let's see. There's similarities. He definitely got, I think, typecast, and I think he was doing this show, The Manny, which is actually the first show that my production company is producing. No, I'm kidding. But maybe not a bad idea.
No, that's a great idea.
Did you all watch it?
That's a great idea. I feel like Freeform would pick that up.
The Manny?
That's a great idea.
They had a scene that was cut out of the episode where Randall and Kevin go to dinner. And the scene wasn't cut out, but this part of the scene was cut out, where Kevin starts to sort of glean that Randall doesn't watch the show. And he's kind of hurt by it, and he's like, oh, I know what happens. A guy walks up and says hi, and he goes, hi, and then blah, 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 this and that, and the guy walks away, and Randall goes, who was that? And I go, very funny. He's like, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean, who is that? That's my he's on the show with me. He's the other guy on the show. He's like, oh, yeah, of course. And I was like, you don't watch the show, and this back and forth thing. So I make him sing the theme song to The Manny, and he does it, and I think it went it was like, he was a pro surfer down in Miami until the wave knocked him down. Now he's the Manny. Is that amazing or what?
Well, you're also a singer-songwriter.
I'm not.
So no.
Yeah, I'm
That's
doing
what,
many things. No.
To answer the first question, that's what you'll be doing in 10 years.
That's what singing.
professionally.
I'll be singing on stage somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Getting paid zero. But I didn't answer the question. I always do that. What's the question?
Oh my gosh, hold on, I've gone
so
through
bad
some. How does your experience starting out as an
Yes.
actor compare to Kevin's experience?
Compared to Kevin.
Yeah.
So I feel like he was doing this thing, the show, and he was uncomfortable in his own skin, which I kind of was as well. And then he kind of got seen in a certain way, and before he knew it, it was happening. So once he finally, he kind of stopped and looked around and saw how other people were looking at him and how he was being perceived, and it was already too far in, and wanted to somehow get out of that and wanted to be taken seriously. And so it was kind of an impossible situation for him. So for me, I think I took myself too seriously, and I just started to loosen up a little bit. So I feel that, and I think probably a lot of actors do, and I don't think you need to be an actor to feel that, where it's like, guys, I don't even know what this is right here. I have no idea. I can also do it this way.
The many talents.
That's unreal. But so, yeah, I think everybody feels like that in their relationships or at work or, with your parents or your friends or whatever. You don't want to be perceived in a certain way that maybe you are being perceived, and sometimes you have to sort of break that mold. I think a lot of people can relate to that, and I think that's the beauty of our show, because you see these situations where it's like, okay, we have someone here who's a triplet. One of them died. They have an adopted brother. This African-American gentleman raised by a white family. All of that stuff. Now, I can't necessarily relate to that stuff specifically, but I relate to all of those characters somehow. And so that's kind of that's how our show works, I think, where it lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's actually another question in here which kind of goes off from that.
Okay.
Other than Kevin, what other character are you most intrigued by?
That I played?
No, on This Is Us.
Oh, on This Is Us, okay. Wow, it changes from day to day, honestly. It's like if you ask me my favorite flavor of ice cream, sometimes it's like chocolate, sometimes it's vanilla, a little Rocky Road in there. Beth. Oh, Rebecca, also. Jack, sometimes, all of them. They're all so good, and also I love all those people. They're so good at playing those characters. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how you look at a show like this, and right now, if you think about like Jack Pearson or Rebecca or Beth or Randall or Kate or Toby, or you can't picture anyone else doing it. But when you watch the pilot, you're like meeting these people for the first time. It's so interesting how that happens.
Right. By the way, that question came from Alexis, so thank you, Alexis.
Thank you, Alexis.
And since you like so many of the characters, thankfully we have Delia here, who is 15 years old. She wrote her age here, and she wants to know if you could play any other character, who would it be, and you could only choose one?
Ooh, I like my guy. I really do. I like my guy. I can only choose one. Who is it? Someone's like, Jack. I don't know if you know this, but you're Jack. Yeah, I think it probably would be Jack. Yeah, I like because here's this guy. I'm playing this character that's like trying to, emulate his father and all the great things that he did, and finds out so much crap about him that is not as heroic and great as he thought it was, and these secrets and these family members that he was told were dead that are alive, which is sort of strange, a strange lie to tell. But to see the other side of that and why that was done would be kind of intriguing to me. Or Rebecca, just to see what it's like to kiss that thick mustache on her face.
You're like, did I say that? You did say that. Mm-hmm.
Is that allowed?
Mm-hmm. All right, now this is a really...
Definitely, he was definitely. I heard it all the way back here. Guy with the mustache. Definitely.
Okay, this is a really fun question.
Okay.
We're getting into some fan theories here.
Oh, I love it.
And I hadn't even thought of this. I love this.
And you're smart.
I don't know
this
about
is
that,
probably...
but now that you said it. Okay. Justin, thank you for being here. I'm reading directly from this. Please underline 3 times, do not make your fans suffer. is it safe for us to think that you are raising Kate's child? And then it says hot or cold. Right? That's a good one.
I mean, it's not unsafe. Well, it wouldn't be unsafe. I don't know if it's true at all. That's a really good theory.
It's great.
It's a great theory. And I'll tell you something about these theories. It's generating some buzz already. I mean, that was incredible. Who is this?
There was no name. What?
Hi, Candace. Are you a writer? Do you want to be? I have a production company. That's really good.
It was trending on Twitter.
Oh, it was? Yeah, but see, nobody, you could just
Candace, take credit for it. Take credit.
Totally on you, got it. Man, I haven't heard that before. But not to say that it's not true. I haven't heard that. Not to say that it's not true though, because as I know the like sort of where the show's going, there are huge pockets of the show that kind of happen as the show kind of starts to live, that just kind of happen, that aren't in the blueprint. So I haven't heard that, but that's.
Now I'm thinking, like, if that could theoretically be true. And remember, Toby is on he walks in, and Randall.
Well, he would be raising him, right?
No, but he says, I just spoke to Jack.
Right.
And they're on their way, and a big question was, who is they? And maybe it's Jack and Kevin, and then Jack walks in and says, Dad's getting takeout. This is a plausible theory.
It's amazing how they've written this show to where like they can go in so many different directions. This man is so brilliant that he has written a show that's number one. It's the number one network show on television, and yet we do episodes that are about that we don't even include our main cast in, and it's solely about like a guest star on our show and his journey. The Dr. K episode, which was brilliant. Gerald McCraney's like just a master actor. But we have an episode about those characters. That's how important those characters are. So we could do anything. We could fly.
All right, now we're already over time, but do you have a few more minutes?
I have a ton of time.
Okay,
are you kidding?
There's so many
I'm worried about you all.
Here. Okay, there's so many good questions here. Okay, when do you or any other cast members start directing episodes of This Is Us? And this is from Anna, I'm sorry.
Yeah, hopefully season 4, but we'll see. I would love to do that. I don't know if it's in the cards in season 4, but I would definitely love to do that. I directed a long time ago, actually. It's been a while now. An episode of Smallville, which I loved doing it. I love collaborating with actors and kind of watching them do their thing, and so I would love to do that. Hopefully that's in the cards. I think we have a few people in the cast that would be interested in doing that. I'll tell you one thing I did do that I probably will never be allowed to do on This Is Us, although I don't know, is I wrote an episode of Smallville one time. And I remember, this is kind of an interesting story. By the way, if we're going over, if you all need water or something, you can walk out. I have thick skin. I'm not like the young Justin and going to get offended. It's okay. So I went to my executive producer and I said to her, you know how you have actors on our show? This is when I was on Smallville. I said, you know how you have actors on our show that have directed episodes? And she goes, of course. And you'll direct next season? We no problem. And I said, thank you very much. That's not at all what I was going to ask, but I'll take that. Thank you. And she was like, oh, okay. What was the question? I said, well, have you ever had an actor, like a cast member that wanted to like maybe write an episode? The blood that was above her heart in her body went below her, all of it went below her heart. And you could see through her head. You could see her brain like just turning gray. And I was like, let me ask you another question. I was like, if I wrote an episode of Smallville, would you at least read it? And she said, well, of course I would read it. And that's when I pulled the script out and I put it down in front of her. And she had to read it. And so she read it. She calls me and she goes, Justin, again, she goes, you can write. And I was like, well, I don't know. I can tell a story. I don't know if I can write or not. Ladies and gentlemen, I wrote probably, it was good, but it probably also would have cost about $120 million. It's like season 9 premiere that I had written for Smallville. I had helicopters and I had like Jesus Christ and I like all kinds of stuff. I was like, if we can get him, although it's probably a her. But yeah, I had all kinds of stuff, and she was like, and they let me write one. So getting a little off topic, but that's kind of a fun little story.
Yeah.
For me anyway. I don't know, sorry.
That's fun. It was fun.
What do you guys want to talk about?
Okay, this is actually a great question, and I can't give credit because they signed it as your biggest fan in the universe. There's no name.
I know who that is.
Okay, great. So, Justin, what is your biggest takeaway from This Is Us that you've implemented in your life as a dad?
Well, Mom. No, I don't know if that's from my mom, but it sounds like it. Is it?
Or grandma, I don't know.
No, she can't write anymore. That would be a miracle. That would be amazing. That I've implemented in my life raising my daughter. There have been so many. Good question, though. So it was to slow down, to just slow down because our lives are so fast-paced, all of our lives. We all have to be places. It seems like we're always sort of chasing ourselves around. And then you wake up and you're 40 and your kids are grown and it's like, where did the time go? So it was to slow down with her. I can't believe she's 14. I feel like I had her 2 weeks ago. But now recently it's been, as she's become a teenager, things start to happen in her life that are, they're more adult than they were before, as opposed to I really want this for Christmas, or I really want a play date with so-and-so. It becomes more like relationships and with her friends and with boys and whatever. I can't believe I just said that. But it becomes more adult stuff, right? She's gonna learn to drive soon. She's 14 and a half now, so all of that stuff that I've gone through, that I've seen 100 times, that I know will be okay in the end, and it's not maybe in the grand scheme of things when you're an older person, when you're an adult, that big of a deal. It's the wrong way to look at it. Those things, like what you saw in that scene right there, that is everything to Tess, everything. And there is no way to just dismiss that. That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal, and that is profound for her. For Tess to be able to sort of admit that and go through that and say, "This sucks," But to just sort of do what Kevin does in that scene, which is sit down and listen to them and be there for them. And if she has a problem, and if her friend did something, or if she thinks she hurt someone's feelings, or she's going through something that is not gonna prevent me from paying the mortgage, it's still everything to her. It's a massive thing, and you have to treat it as such. And so that's kind of the way that I've approached things with her. But also not to be fooled. I do know when I'm being taken. I'm like, give me a break. It's fine. The temperature's fine in here. We're not doing 73. Okay? No, I'm kidding.
Has your daughter she's 14. Has she realized that her dad is Justin Hartley, who stars on the biggest show on broadcast?
Yeah. No.
Is that weird for her to kind of?
Probably. I don't know. I think we've done this thing where, and it's just sort of happened organically, where I'm dad, and I don't think that she thinks about that at all unless it's brought to her attention if someone else says it. And that I take huge pride in, because I think I wanted to make sure that was the case. She's 14 and a half. Everything that happens should be about her, not me. So when she goes to school, when we're out, she should be the one getting all the attention. And so that part of it, I've been really I've handled that with care. And so she's got a really good head on her shoulders. She did tell me once, though, she's like, I'm so happy that, I won't say which one, but she said, fill in the blank, one of her teachers watches your show because, man, I'm needing some extra help. So she knows, I think she kind of uses it as well.
Little perk.
She's very smart.
She's very smart.
Yeah. She's like, best grade possible, minimal effort. You know what I mean? Unreal. No, she gets straight A's, I should say that. So, not that matters, but she gets straight A's.
Round of applause, Rob. All right, now we're just going to do a few rapid fire because I really want to be able to get to all your great questions.
Get my traction.
Tyler, who's a teacher, actually, wants to know, other than This Is Us, what other show would you want to be a part of?
Ooh, gosh, there's so many. Right off the top of my head, Veep.
Ooh, that's a good one.
They get to say whatever they want.
They truly.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Have you seen this show? Is she brilliant or what? That whole cast, I'm like, how are they doing that? How are they doing that?
Yeah, they do not have broadcast standards
they
and
are,
practices there.
They are just, they're money. They're perfect. What a great cast.
Okay, Chad and Rachel from New York City want to know, what is a role that you've always dreamed of getting?
I'd like to play, I don't know if this is not a specific role, I'd like to play a baseball player in a movie. I'd love to do a movie where I'm a baseball player.
Did you play baseball growing up? Okay, very cool.
I could do it.
Could do it.
I know I could.
Now, there's no name here, but it's a great question. How far in advance do you get your scripts?
Really far in advance at the beginning of the year, and then as the show starts, so what happens is it's a logistical thing. We start filming way before we air. We start filming in July, and we air in like September, like towards the end of September. So we have all of July, all of August, and then like half of September to like bank these shows before our first show airs. So, but as they start airing, except this last season, where they would do like one and then they'd wait like 9 years and do another one and then they'd wait like 9 more years. But you're constantly losing. You're airing a show every 7 days where it takes like 8 working days to shoot one. So it'll take Monday through Friday and then like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to film one. So you're losing ground. So as you're losing ground, the writers are also losing ground. They're so overworked, it's unbelievable. And the show is huge. So it's like they're not just writing jokes. It's like the concepts and things. It's just a huge thing for them. So as the seasons kind of go on towards the end of the season, the scripts come quicker to the time that you're supposed to be on set. Yeah, but we're lucky. We get them. I would say minimum a week, which is really nice of them.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that, but they do that for us, so it's good.
Very cool. All right. Well, last question from Liz. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have an older brother, Nathan. He's a police officer. He's awesome. And then there's me, and then my younger sister, Megan, who just had my first nephew, my first nephew.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
And she's a wonderful mother, and it's so funny. She's so funny and so smart, and just like quick-witted and kind of a goofball. And but to see her as a mom I'm just like blown away. Yeah. She's exquisite. And then I have another younger sister, Gabriella, who's a singer and an actor and a dancer, and she just pretty much does everything. Brilliant singer. But that's my family.
Awesome. And Liz wanted to know that obviously because on This Is Us, you're part of the big three and siblings. And also today's National Sibling Day. So I thought it was a good last question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your questions. Thank you, Justin, for such a good conversation.